So I've mostly finished going through this manuscript. There's still a few more things, but I think maybe we can finish up in this video. So what I've been doing is going down through all the chapters and just adding this page break, next page, insert a section break, start a new section on the next page, and then I've just been taking out the extra spacing and setting the styles because I already added the spacing into the styles so that I don't have to try to count how many returns I have. So this chapter style automatically has this heading 1 automatically has all this space above it, so that way there's always going to be this much space. Actually, it's not totally perfect because it's got to be about halfway down the page. This text still starts a little bit high, so I might want to go back through. And now that everything is set up, all of these chapters are set up the same way with the same chapter style, so if I make any changes to this style, it's going to affect every other case automatically, so I don't have to go back all the way through it again. But if I wanted, I could add a little bit more spacing here, or probably more spacing on the top. And actually, I think I'll do that. So if I go to line space options, I'll put this at 140. It's still not quite there, because it really should be about halfway down. If I do it this way, that's about right. So there's a lot of space up here on top, and the text is about halfway down. And so I'll highlight this again, right click, and update heading 1 style. And that's going to make changes on every chapter. So that might mean that it gets pushed down to the next page, but even if the text changes a little bit and you push it down to the next page, it should keep this new section style, which means there's no headers and no footers, even if the page counts change, which is kind of nice because in InDesign you use master pages, and if you change the pages like this, you're going to have to go through and reapply a different master page to every chapter page. But this worked pretty well. It also means that we can change the body text if we want to. I mentioned before that that's really not my favorite font. It's okay, it's just it's not the most professional font for interior book formatting. I have gone through on my site, DIYbookformats.com. These were the fonts that I recommended using before. I've since gone through and searched for free fonts and added the link to them. And soon I'll make some templates and put up some pictures of samples so you can see what all of these look like. But these are a bunch of options. I don't think they're all perfectly suited, but there's probably 5 good options in there that'll make really nice body text. So I'll go through and test all these and see which ones are the best. These are free fonts, but as a designer, the best fonts are probably going to be some of these paid ones, if you have them or if you can find them. But anyway, I could change that later if I wanted really easily, because now everything is set up in styles. So I could just go through and change the font, change the size if I wanted, even change the line height. Although I'm at 365 pages, which is a decent length, so I don't really want to mess up the page length. I usually shoot for about 350, so that's really nice. One other thing that I had to do was I had to go through and change all of the dividers. Let me find one. So there was something like this, which you just left as an E, which was the divider between paragraphs. Sometimes you'll have something like that. Almost always, you need a symbol there. And I like to use the 3 asterisks. And if you use the 3 asterisks, you can change the font until you get a style that you like. And so I've just gotten to Source Sans Pro, which gives a nice kind of star picture rather than the default would be something. Let me change to another font. Something more like that. But you can make these bigger. You can space them out by going here to the text spacing. And if you play with fonts, you might find a font that you like. You don't want them to be really too big or too stylish. You kind of want them to be there, but be really unobtrusive. And you also want to make sure that you've removed this indent so that you can center it correctly and then save it as a new style. And so I've already saved my divider stars as divider stars so that I can just, and there usually you can do a search and replace. If she had used something like some other symbol, I could do find replace and at least go through and find all these really quickly. You couldn't just replace them because you'd still have to go back and center all of them or change the styles on all of them, but you could just go to, for example, oops. Oh, that's being weird now, but normally you could just find your 3 asterisks and it will search through and you can just go to the next and the next, but something's weird is going on now, so I won't do that. Once I've replaced all of those, this was the last one here, so I'm just checking also that it's the same amount of space before and after. I could use the spacing in here and the line spacing options and then just remove all of the paragraphs so to make sure it's perfect, but that's also pretty easy just to cite. And so I've just gone through and replaced them all. And one last thing is at the bottom of 43 there's some of this kind of poetry. It's fine how it is, but if I wanted, I might want to make it italic or make it a little bigger, and then I would save that as another style. I'll save it as poetry. I didn't see any others, but there's probably other examples in the book that are the same. They're these kind of spells. So I'd want to go through the book again and search for any other examples and highlight and then pick the new style I just made, just to give it kind of a little bit more style, a little bit more appeal. I could also make it, if I really wanted to go stylish, I could choose like a rough handwriting font. Nothing too messy. I think I have a font called Da Vinci. Maybe not. I have a lot of fonts, so I could pick something that's a little bit more kind of ancient and handwriting and broken looking, which could be cool, but you don't really want it too messy or hard to read. You could do something like that too. This one's actually pretty nice. So you could pick a different one if you want that text to really stand out and to be a little more stylish, and then set that as a new style so that you could go through and select all the text and make it match. But in this case, I think I'll just leave it how it is for now. The other thing we need to consider, and it's basically done now. I mean, I could go through, there's more things I could do to make it a little bit better. Like I said, I'd probably change the body font. I still need to figure out what I'm going to do with these first paragraphs. If I'm going to do a drop cap and the caps like this, then I would need to do it on all the chapters, all the way through the book, so that's going to take some time. But I'm going to ask the author first what she wants to do there. Also, it still doesn't have any front matter or any back matter, so that's what I'm going to do now. It's got this epilogue, but the book just ends here with the end. And so what I need to do is make another page break at the end. And I'll just use my heading. And the things you want to put in the back, you can have an about the author, but before the about the author, I would actually put the offer. The back of your book, you're going to want to make a connection with the reader, and you're probably going to do that with some kind of an offer, even if it's something simple like, please come to my website and sign up, and I'll let you know when the next book is available, or you can get, you can say news and updates, but that's not very enticing. You really want to have something like a free book or a prequel or a short story or something real and tangible that they can get right away if they sign up to your email list. And you can figure that out. You might want to put a picture in the back. I would usually put a 3D book image of what they get for free, or maybe a picture of my website, or just something a little visible to show them what they're going to get. And then I would also, I'll put another page break, and then another page break, because I'm going to want to skip a page. This gets a little tricky when you're skipping pages, because you have to figure out, if you don't have the headers and footers, you have to figure out what side of the page it's going to be on. So this would be the outside of the right page. So if you flip it over to the next page, this would be on the left side, which isn't actually what you want. New sections like this, you'd want to start on the right-hand side. Doesn't matter for chapters, because you don't want a lot of blank pages through the actual text. It's fine if these chapters start on the left side. Some books will skip a page and leave a blank page, but it's more common just to let it flow where it does, instead of having all those extra blank pages, which don't really serve any purpose. But for the front matter and the back matter, you're probably going to want to skip a page so that these end up on the right-hand page. So I would actually go back here again and skip another page. So this would be the left-hand side, and this would now be the right-hand side, and I'd put the author. Then this would be the left side, and this one would be the right. Again, that's where I would put my About the Author page. You might have an About the Author in the back, on the back of your book cover. That's fine. The one in the back of your book cover is to help you sell the book to people who haven't read it, and also to build your platform a little bit and your credibility, because not everybody is going to read the book. They might just flip over the book on the back. The About the Author section in the back of your book is for people who have actually read the book, and so they have a much deeper relationship with you now, and now you can kind of give them something else, a little bit kind of a deeper insight into you and why you write, which will make a deeper connection with them. This is kind of where you turn readers into fans if you do it right. So these back sections are really important. About the author. And I'll fill this in a little bit more quickly, but I'll just make a couple paragraphs, one with the first paragraph and then another one with the normal paragraph. So she can fill those in later. Also, we have to do the same thing with the front. So before chapter 1, I need to add some more pages. And so I'm going to go to page layout. And also, if this is the very first page, it's going to be on the right-hand side. So this page would start on the left-hand side, which isn't really what you want. So this very first page, you probably want to have a title page. The title page is going to look a lot like the book cover, which means I've got to use the same fonts. And so I got to look at my book cover and remember what it looks like. It looks like that. So here, I'll just put some centered text. And the font is LHF Archer. Oops. So it kind of looks like that. Only bigger. Maybe even that big. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but you want it to be pretty similar. And I'm going to space out this text and make it a little bit bigger, expanded. There's a weird little gap here. It must be a problem with the font. So it looks fine, actually. Got to remove this indent. I'll check there's no indent up here also. And I'd probably also want to put this Zodiac Assassins Book 1. Something like that. I can play with it later more. You might want to save these as new quick styles, because what's going to happen if I do go back and change this text later or add a new font, because this is just in the normal font, it's all going to get messed up and I'd have to redo it again. So I'd probably want to save this as title page 1. That's just kind of to preserve it so that it doesn't get all messed up later. And I'll save that as title page 2. Oops. So this is going to be the very first part of the book, which is on the right hand side. On the next part, I actually don't want this here. I'm going to have my title page, copyright page, which goes right behind the title page. It's fine if it's on the left-hand side. I think I put a sample title page up on this site somewhere. Let me see if I did. Nope, doesn't look like. I'm going to search real quick for sample copyright page. Almost all copyright pages are the same. I've posted this somewhere on the web, but I'm not sure exactly where. You can usually just take kind of the default text that shows up on almost every book and just customize it a little bit. So here's something from Joel Friedlander's site, The Book Designer, which is copyright page samples you can copy and paste. Something like this. This one's actually long. I would use this short version. So I'm just going to copy it. And I can set this to normal text, I guess. Actually, I'd probably want it first paragraph. It depends if you're going to write indent it or not. If I do first paragraph, it's going to be left aligned. Oops. There's a bunch of spacing in here, which I have to remove. Okay, so it looks something like that. You'd probably actually want it a little bit smaller than the normal body text. So I'd want to change all the details. Probably don't need your address if you're doing your own self-published book, you don't really need to put your address in there. You need the ISBN, first printing, copyright. I'm going to change this to 2015. And I'll put Artemis Crow, although I'm not sure she's going to use her pen name for this part. I would usually put the name of the book up here too. So I'd go like this. And you can change this, or you could look for something else. There's different versions of this online, but basically saying all rights reserved. I took out the spacing, but you don't have to if you want it to be like Joel had it, which was just on one side. That's very normal too. You could also center all of this if you wanted, which would look like that, and that looks fine too. You can put your website. I'll just change this to website right now. In the back, under the offer, I'd also want my website here. And I'd do something like go to my website to sign up and get a free book. And I'd center that. Up here, because I have this extra space, and it's set for the title tag, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure why this is showing up here, but it is. At least it's that way, it's one spacing. I'm just going to set this to something else so that it doesn't show up on my table of contents. So this looks fine for the title page. This looks okay for the copyright page. And then this would be my first chapter on the right-hand side. And once I've done all of my paragraph and made sure all the styles just how I want, there's still a little bit, this is just a tiny bit too tight in here. So I might want to header from top 5. Oops, not that way. If I want to make this wider, I actually have to go to page layout margins from the top 9 and whole document. So that gives it a little bit more space up here. That's almost too much space, actually, interestingly enough, and that pushes up to 371 words. Yeah, this is almost too much. So I'm going to go back. Maybe I'll undo it, or maybe I just won't use quite so much. I could do 8.5 and see how that looks. It's about the same. I might even put this a little bit higher. 0.35. I'm just going to put it back to 8. Now there's too much space. That looks okay. You want it to have enough space that it's kind of breathable, but not too much. This is still kind of too much, but maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me right now. So this is basically ready to go. When you're actually ready to publish it, you would save it as a PDF. And as long as you save it as a PDF, it's going to be fixed format. So when you upload it to CreateSpace, or you can use actually the same document for Lightning Source or Lulu or any other printer, as long as you formatted it for 6x9, you've done all your margins correctly. So I'd save it as a PDF, and then you'd be ready to go. I'll go ahead and show you. Standard publishing or minimum size. If you were publishing an ebook online and it was just going to be used on people's computers, like you're offering a free PDF download, you could do minimum size, but I'm just going to do standard for publishing. And I'm not actually finished with this because I've got to go through and make some more changes, and I'll probably change the design a little bit once I get some feedback from the author. But I don't think I have anything else to teach you about formatting. Now you can see this is what the PDF looks like. And this will print nice and clean. I've got to change that first printing. You can't make changes on the PDF, but you can just keep editing the Word document and then go through and save it again. But it's looking pretty good. This font actually looks okay. This is Garamond. It didn't look as good in the Word document, but it looks decent enough here. The line spacing is a little bit tight. I'd prefer a little bit more, maybe like 0.1 more space between all the lines. There should be about 300 words per page, no matter what document you're printing. I didn't check that earlier, but that's a consideration also. This might have more. And it can be more. I mean, it could be 400. You don't really want it like 250. If you go to review and word count, so this page has 382 pages, which is a little bit much. But I don't really want to push this word count, this page count up any higher. Ideally, I'd probably add a tiny bit more to the spacing. Maybe like 0.4, or I could try 0.35. Just a little bit more. But if I do that, it's going to push this word count up a little bit. Let me see how much. So I just updated the normal style, which means any text that I had set at normal style, like if I hadn't made a special style for all those other elements, or like for the poetry in 43, if I hadn't set this to a special style, this would all be just back to the normal style. I'd have to redo it all, which is why I tried to set styles for everything that's different from the basic normal text. So now it's up to 382 pages. That's fine. This is a pretty big book. So this would still be okay. And if I played around, see here's this copyright page. I forgot to do the copyright page as its own unique style. So it got all messed up when I set the normal style. So I'm going to go back because I'm not really sure I want to do that. Anyway, so that's how you format a book in Microsoft Word. I hope you've learned enough. I'm going to put up a bunch of templates and this video and some other videos on DIYBookFormats.com so that you can get more information and download them and do your own formatting. I'm also going to put some videos about making ebooks, because now that you have this formatted for print and you can save it as a PDF, which looks really nice and professional, you still have to convert your book to an ebook format, which is totally different. And if you've done this correctly and you've set up all your sections so that you've used the heading 1 style and they show up here on the navigation pane, then things should go pretty smoothly when you convert to ebook, but not necessarily, and it depends on how you're converting or what tools you're using. So we'll experiment with a whole bunch of different tools and methods for making ebooks from your manuscript. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.